stables to get your mounts. You had to go do that. And eventually they just removed it for a quicker utility interface.
Kind of like how they did with archer or hunter pets in WoW.
Yeah, before you had to go to a specific NPC to pull your different pets out. Mm-hmm. Like, you could only have one active at a time. Then they changed it where it's like, no, you just have all of them now active, and you can just flip back and forth whenever you would like. Now, that's something I'm kind of curious. Like, do you think they went with this route, the utility over immersion, or do you think they kept with the immersion? Because we don't really know for sure. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
With the stable, I'm pretty sure that they would go with immersion rather than utility, because I think that's what the people want more. Okay. Is they want their ESO game to be more like lore friendly, because it's not WoW, thankfully. It's not Final Fantasy. It's not any of those other games. This is a game all on its own, and I think that it will want to go with lore.
Is our stream still up too?
No,
it's not working.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to mess with it later. It won't capture the game footage, and something's wrong with it.
Okay.
So I don't think it's gonna be able to work at this time.
Okay. Is our audio still working?
Yep, I turned it on, so they're just going to see my creepy image with me being a weirdo, and that's pretty much it. So
okay,
no one will enjoy that, but that's for any random person that enjoys looking at my bald head in my fancy chair. Hi.
All right, not a problem. I just want to make sure they could hear us before we continued on. All right, so UI interface looks awesome. I'm glad they're doing it, and I believe it's going to be account-wide. So, yay there. Again, speculation, but from what they led us to believe, the collection's UI would be account-wide. So, that'd be kind of neat.
I don't have any alts, so...
Yeah, you do. You just don't play them, because...
Well, they're only storage alts.
No, we have our 4 that are together that we level 1 for each
well, yeah,
class.
But...
We just haven't played them very often lately, because we're still trying to get the VR14 on our mains. I know we played our Dragon Knight and Templar characters to like level 8 or something like that when the veteran experience was broken. So, all right, moving on to the next bit. Confirmed. Forward camps coming back, but with more restrictions. No ETA. They didn't really tell us much about this other than the fact that they are planning on bringing them back into the game at some point in the future, but they will have more restrictions. They're trying to work on it to make them, I guess, better than what they were. So, for those of you in Cyrodiil, have no fear. Forward camps will be coming back in the future, just maybe not to the same extent they were before. All right. As of right now, 1.56 is planned for Monday, which is kind of cool. They are working on responsiveness between the client server for fixing freezing with weapon swap and stuff like that, and slightly decreasing the power of monsters that scale to VR1 and higher. So that would be dungeon monsters, I guess. All right. Anyone have anything to say about anything we talked about in game news before we move on?
Well, it's kind of slow. They're working on 1.6, and one thing of note is they did say that 1.6 is like double the normal size of a patch. They did say that.
Which is kind of funny because, like I said, what I highlighted today are the only known things we know about Update 6. What else are they going to bring us with Update 6? These things I would say are quality of life kind of things, but nothing that I would say is very large.
Yeah, well, that's what they haven't told us. I mean, it has to be Imperial City, something massive coming down the change.
Sweet. All right. Thais, anything before we move on to the next section?
I'm excited for the provisioning update.
Okay.
I really am.
Nice.
I want some apple-flavored beef. Beef-flavored apples.
Apple smoked bacon. There you go. Moving on to the Elder Scrolls discussion topics. We kind of had 2 today. And Deltia, you want to go over the gear scaling and drops based on level first?
No, not first.
Okay.
I want to go over the argument after this because mine's going to counter yours.
Gotcha. State of Dungeon Finder. If you guys haven't noticed lately, I'm going to be blunt about it, and I'm sure they're aware of it. Dungeon Finder seems to be broken. Deltia, have you tried to use the Dungeon Finder at all? I know you have a big guild, so probably not.
No, I mean, it's never worked in the past, and when it had, it was a terrible experience, so I stopped.
Now, I will say this. The Dungeon Finder, when we used it, I think we used it... I've used it to test it recently, but the first time we used it was for Fungal Grotto. It actually worked fairly well. But again, this was before dungeon scaling came into it, and there was a strict level group. We found a group fairly fast. Now, we left that group because they wouldn't let us, do our cutscenes. But, it's just something that we left. A lot of people are trying to figure out what's going on with the Dungeon Finder now, because it seems like the Dungeon Finder leaves you in a state of under investigation or trying to find players for extended periods of time. You'll be in there for hours. Now, one of the things that I really want to talk about, you've only ever done it with me. What do you think?
Oh, I don't even remember using it.
Okay.
Because you've always controlled who we're going into a dungeon with. You ask me, do you want to run a dungeon? I say yes, and then you find the people.
Okay. So I'm the organizer in all this. You're just there for the ride.
Yep.
All right.
I'm the pretty face. Really? Silence? Oh, all right. I'll remember that.
I love you.
I
love you. Okay. All right. Well, as of right now, with the changes to group scaling and stuff of that nature, it really does seem like the looking for group tool seems to be busted. How do you think they could improve the dungeon tool right now? I have a few ideas.
You're asking me or Deltia?
I'm asking you.
Make it work? That would be one surefire way to make it better.
I'm kind of looking for, the Dungeon Finder as it is now is almost like other games' Dungeon Finders, which it autofills. I would actually like to see a Dungeon Finder almost like the Party Finder in Final Fantasy.
No.
Why not?
I completely disagree. I think that they need to remove the entire faction based. Remove that. Let it be anybody in any faction. Just don't let it register what faction they're in. Don't make it like Party Finder in Final Fantasy.
Why do you say that?
Because in this type of game, I don't see it. I don't know.
I mean, you have a party where you're saying looking for X people for this dungeon, we're scaling it to X. You could get pretty close. Then when you look at it, you can see the groups, what they need. I don't see how the poster board style of Dungeon Finder wouldn't work. Yes, it's more active.
But then let me say I don't want that. Me personally, I don't want that. I enjoy that in Final Fantasy.
But what makes you enjoy it in that game versus this one?
You know what? I don't know. I cannot even tell you. I don't know. I just think a Dungeon Finder where they just randomly pick people for you. I figured out why. The Party Finder in Final Fantasy seriously promotes elitism, and that's one thing I don't like.
Okay.
And I think that with the community that we have here, opening up that entire realm of crappiness would just be a bad idea for the game.
So then why do you enjoy it in Final Fantasy?
Because the community there is not as nice as it is here.
Okay. So you're more worried on a community side than on a gameplay side.
Yes.
Okay. Makes sense now. Deltia, what about you? What do you think about Dungeon Finder in its current state, and how would you improve it?
Well, there is no Dungeon Finder in its current state. It's not working, right? I mean, no one finds groups. It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, there has to be every other group. I love this game. You guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
This is by far the worst grouping system I've ever seen. Right? I mean, it's terrible. No one uses it. You sit there for hours. I don't think it's because of a lack of player base. I just think mechanically something's flawed with it. I don't know what it is. I don't know the math behind it, etc., etc., but you got to make it work. I mean, at least have something that works. There's no possibility of getting a group at a decent time. I mean, I don't know why. Make it work. there has to be incentives. I like the gear check stuff because there's nothing worse than getting into a group where you just get nuked in 3 seconds, and because someone's never done it before and doesn't have any gear, and there's no possibility of getting it done. Yes, does that promote elitism? I don't know, maybe, but it's better than just dying over and over and having no chance and wasting an hour getting nothing done. So I think they need to have some gear check or something where, and that kind of leads me into my point. I don't want to play in a group with a VR1 when I'm a VR14. Why? I don't want the drops to be either VR1 if he's leading, or he or she, or be so underpowered and underwhelming that it's impossible to do it.
They should have options then in the Party Finder menu, like where you can check a box, dungeon scaled or dungeon not scaled, and that would put you with people your level or people under your level.
You were reading my mind. I was actually going to say, because everything dungeon scales now anyway, but I don't know if they'll turn it on or off, but they should let you have a slider or a level range box, like when you search in the thing going, okay, when you go into a dungeon, what group should I find? And you can put a level range of, okay, I don't mind dungeon scaling all the way from VR1 to VR14. I don't care. Or, in your case, you could just put 14 to 14 and be done with it. You know what I mean? Then it would only auto-find you with other groups that are 14 to 14 or whatever, and it would allow for a little bit more of the auto matchmaking. And it would help with the dungeon scaling. That way, if you have a guy going, I just want to get it done, I will take any player that's anywhere between VR1 and VR14, so that way it opens up the player base for him going, okay, anyone who's also looking for this dungeon that's VR1 or above can come with.
Another thing that I would like to happen with the Party Finder tool is that as soon as it finds your group, it teleports you right to the dungeon.
Okay. Well, see, I don't know, like, you can just click to the dungeon. I don't like the things where you click a queue like Warcraft's one where no one even knew where the dungeon entrance was. I hated that.
But I remember a time when it didn't do that.
That would have been when it first came out and you still had to go to the stones. Like, why even have the stones there anymore? Because no one uses them, because no one even knows where the entrance... There's still dungeons in Warcraft. I don't even know where the entrances are. Because I just, oh, okay, I can go into a new dungeon. Click it and go. I still don't know where the entrances are.
See, that's funny, because I know where all the entrances are in WoW, but I have no idea where any of the dungeons are, even where they're even located in ESO.
But they show you on the map. There's like a big icon on your map.
Yeah, but I don't even know where they are. I teleport, I look in my party menu and see who's standing in the dungeon. It's usually Kypster, and then I just teleport right to Kypster.
Okay, well, here's the mentality that was a little different. When you were playing Warcraft, you took a little bit more initiative on yourself to go look around. You would play when I was... You kind of just follow me around in this game.
Yeah, that I do.
So you don't really look... You're just like, I don't know, wherever Ag goes, I'll follow. Yeah. I think that's a little... If you were forced to go by yourself, I think you'd probably know a little bit more than what you do now. Just personally speaking. Anyway. So that's kind of what I want to talk about, because it is kind of a little bit of a hot button issue. Like, Winnown Stealth in chat, he said a little earlier, he's pretty much not played the game since 1.5 came out because the Dungeon Finder is still broken. And he has no will to play it, if you will, in the game while it's broken. I mean, how important is a Dungeon Finder like this in a game? Do you find it important? Like, Thais, is it important to have one of these?
I honestly feel that in any MMO, a randomized dungeon finder tool is a necessity.
Yep. Completely agree.
I don't think it's a necessity at all. I actually think dungeon finders are the bane of existence in MMOs.
I actually have a thing for that.
Okay.
Okay. Do you remember when we were playing Guild Wars 2?
Mm-hmm.
How impossible it was for us to do those dungeons? Because we could never find anybody. It would take us such a long time to find people to run dungeons with because there was no tool.
Yeah, and I was fine with that because we eventually, you know what we did? We found a guild that had people, and we ran with people. It brought the social back into games. That's what I Dungeon Finders bring out the worst in players, where it's essentially that Warcraft mentality of let's run this dungeon 30 minutes or less, or you know, GTFO, you suck. That kind of people jump into a dungeon, they never talk, they just go.
That happened even in Guild Wars 2 with speedruns.
Yeah, but you still, the thing is, you had to interact with the person first, and they'd be like, I'm speedrunning this, and you'd be like, yeah, no, then I'm out. There had to be a communication. In other games that have this, Rift, Warcraft, Final Fantasy, people don't say anything to each other. They hop in and they just go because they know what the best route is. And if you're not following it, you're a bad player.
That's not completely true. I always say hi, and people say hi.
It is 100% true.
I at least always say hi to the random people in my dungeon.
Okay, how many other words are exchanged?
It depends on if they're good players or not.
Okay.
And
And then if they're bad players, what do? You're like, you suck, GTFO.
Because if they're really, really good, usually people will talk to each other because they're complimenting each other. If they're really, really bad, usually you're screaming at each other. You're cursing at. But if they're in the middle, no one says anything to anybody.
If it's a decent group, you're just like, hey, look, I finished. Dungeon Finders were the worst thing ever. I really feel that Dungeon Finders are terrible in this game.
It brings all the shy, lonely, friendless people together. It allows them to play the content that they wouldn't otherwise be able to play.
And then they run into people who are the elitists when they're the shy, friendly people that, oh, I go into a dungeon, they do it wrong, and then they get cursed out by somebody who was looking for a speed run of it, and then they leave.
Well, too bad for that elitist person.
No. It's not the elitist person. The elitist person, you can curse at me all day long. I'm not going to quit the game. I'm an elitist jerk-off. It's the shy, friendly person who gets the bad taste in their mouth who then quits the game.
Which is why I think in this community, it wouldn't be like that. Because I haven't ran into anybody who was a horrible person.
In this community,
except for Deltia.
It's different. Yeah, except for Deltia. In this community, the community itself is great, but the Dungeon Finder itself brings that type of community, that elitist, let's just get this done kind of thing. And you lose that social aspect. I mean, you lose all that. If Deltia wants to run through City of Ash or whatever, or Crypt of Hearts, and he takes you or me for veteran, he knows off the bat that, hey, we haven't done it yet. This is not going to be as fast as normal. Or he could just choose not to group with us at all because he knows he can't handle that. He's like, I don't want to teach people. I just want to run it. So he saves himself the stress, and he saves us the anger of having to run with him by just talking to us and try to get the group together. I actually like the way, because it's broken now, what happens with pledges? Delta, you know what happens with pledges right now. What do people do? They go to their main city, Mournhold, Elden, whatever the case may be, looking for 1 DPS, I'm VR1, let's do this. And you get that social community back.
But no one groups up with the VR1.
Thank you.
All right, no one groups up. See, that's just, you wouldn't group up. I would.
Why?
Because I'm not after anything specifically in there at that point in time, and I'm not VR1 yet.
What do you mean? You are over VR1.
I am over, VR14, I mean. I'm not going after that max level stuff yet. I'm just after to get the pledge done. If I'm just after to get the pledge done, and I'm not willing to wait to find people of my own level, I only got a couple minutes, I'll go with them. Or, a certain period of time if I'm not willing to wait.
Okay, but that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Why would I go into a dungeon with the VR1 that's not my friend? What's the incentive? They're going to do 0 damage, they're going to do less healing, they're going to do less DPS. And the loots are going to be a lot less if that's scaled on their level. There's no incentive.
He just hurt my heart.
Well, that being said, though, Deltia, you don't being manually able to group that way, you don't have to.
Yeah, but try doing Crypt of Hearts via Group Finder with a VR1 and it scales to VR12. Good luck.
Well, naturally, you wouldn't bring someone if you were the group leader. Like, I wouldn't do that.
Well,
just
you
right
know,
off the bat.
but I'm just telling you what you just exactly said. If it's a group finder, there's no way to say you have to be VR12 at the current state. So you're asking.
in the
Oh,
current state,
well, that's
yeah.
why we're talking about the future of it, not now.
You'd have
yeah.
to get the exact same VR scale or get rid of the stupid VR stuff because at the current state right now, you're just so much underpowered, even 2 VR levels below what everyone else is. It's just monumentally underpowered.
See, here's one of the things that that we haven't really discussed yet with the scaling and everything. VR ranks aren't staying around. They're going to be taken away eventually. So I'm kind of curious, like, even with the Dungeon Finder as it is currently, are they just kind of waiting it out because they're going to be removing VR ranks eventually anyway? With the champion system, they're all going away. We'll just be 50 with a certain champion level.
Which sounds exactly like it would be with VR.
No,
anyway.
it's closer to the alternate advancement or the Rift system where after you were a certain level you could then put points. That didn't really affect you much. It's just, oh, I got an extra 1% fire resistance. Oh, I got an extra 2 crit. Things that let you keep advancing your character but not be overly strong from it. That's what it's going to be like. You're not gonna see much difference.
But they're still gonna have a number there. It's still gonna make elitists like Deltia not want to play with a champion 1 versus a champion 5 because of a 2% crit increase.
You might not even be able to see the champion level of people.
You're going to know. There's always some way to know. Their hit points, what gear they're wearing. There's a million different identifiers. You guys know it as well as I do. Yeah. Are there nice people in MMOs? Yes. But 99% of the time, if it's not advancing my character, I'm not going to help another person. A random person. I'll help a guildie. I'll walk through people and go through 100 deaths if that person's willing to go through it with me and get better. But at some point, it just gets annoying versus being fun. I'd rather go pick flowers and actually know I'm getting something accomplished than keep dying because someone can't learn the mechanics to a fight. I'm just being real with you here.
Sure, no, and there are people like that.
I'm the person who would help that poor VR one.
I was going to say, what about Java Hoodat?
What about her?
She'd probably help the people.
Oh, she would help him. Hell yeah, she would. Me? Yeah. Hell no, I wouldn't. I'd be like,
so Deltia wouldn't, but there are people who would probably go, and I'm still arguing with the fact of
I just wouldn't, bro. I'm like, this is not Deltia training school. I have guides on all this stuff. At some point, if you're bad, you're bad. The whole reason I do my site and stuff is just try to help you get better. You can play the way you want to, and believe me, please do. It's a lot of fun. At some point, if you're going to do the high-end stuff, you have to be good. And it's just taking the time and attention to try to self-improve. It's like everything. If you go out and golf, you're going to suck day one, right? But if you focus on it, learn from other people, and try to get better, you're going to be better at golf. You're maybe not be the best because your physical limitations or mental or whatever, but you can do some of it. This game is exceptionally hard. Every other game, dailies are just a time sink versus a progression thing. This game's different. It's hard. You can't pug them. And it used to be in Star Wars, you could pug any daily, get through it in an hour, and it was just a time sink where you just had to go through the phases and almost never die, and you got your little reward at the end, and it was currency. I hated it. This is drops. I love it. It's hard. I love it. Yeah, it's frustrating and miserable sometimes, but it only makes you a better player. So I love the way it is right now, and it's not easy. And I get frustrated, believe me. I just quit a group, actually, while we were talking about it over, pug healer that couldn't do their job. Sorry.
Okay. All right. I think we've had a good discussion with this. Dungeon Finder, consensus is it's broke. Hopefully they'll fix it soon.
There needs to be more ways to get groups in this game other than the guild system, or otherwise people aren't going to play these dungeons. And especially if there's no soft entry point. When the boss in Banished Cells has more, the third boss in Banished Cells, and then I think the second boss in Spindle Clutch is harder than the Dragonstar Arena Final Fight. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at what point is a daily ridiculous versus, no, I can beat it, I can farm it, I can go get all these helms. I can't. Most people can't. They don't have ridiculous geared out characters or have a million hours like I do to play this game. So I can stick up for both sides. Tone it down. I mean, people want to do this daily as an experience, but they shouldn't have to be a super high-end, end-all, be-all sork to get it done, you know? So there has to be a balance. Like, maybe turn it off so you get less of the gear chance or something, but I feel for those people that, you know, the third boss in Ban SLs can one-shot you at 3,000 health. Come on.
That's impressive. Before we move on to the next section, I did want to say this. Ray62 in chat says he brought a friend into a pug and he got insulted, which sucks because people, there's always those d-holes. But if you can't find people to practice with, you can't get better. There's a big difference between reading a guide and performing. See, this is where one of the things that I liked about the poster thing with the party finder, where you can say looking for a group, you can say I'm learning, I need people to help, and there are people.
I would help that person.
Yeah, but then if you at least have, I'm still in favor of that poster board as an alternate advancement where you can put up saying, I'm this level, I'm looking for this dungeon, never done it before, I could use some help. Perfect example of this was even in Final Fantasy, because we had left for a while and we came back. Everyone was progressed way past, so they were all Deltia, essentially. I just came back to the game, and it was so hard to find the earlier raids that I needed to get into the other raids because no one was doing them anymore. And the people who were doing them were like, you better have clear or you're not going. It's like, well, I just can't. How am I going to get a clear if no one will take me? Yes, yeah. It's my fault for coming back to the game 3 months after the content's old and almost everyone has a clear, but I don't yet. That party finder saved me multiple times because I literally wrote up, they're starting a whatever party for this dungeon. It's a learning party.
Well, and Ray brings up a good point. I don't want to seem like an arrogant dick, so I'm sorry about that if I did. And to his point, reading a guide and performing it is a lot different, and I understand that. I mean, some people just aren't inherently good at games. Mm-hmm. And it's frustrating. The reason I get so fired up about it is I want people to experience the stuff like I do and get the kick out of it, like screaming, peeing my pants excited about getting a drop. You know, this game has that, and I just feel bad for the people that don't have that good guild. And to your point, I'm in the same boat as you right now, being with Entropy Rising as you were with Final Fantasy. You know, I have not had a group of 12 people to put me through trials. The first time I ran trials, I got a 10-minute and 55-second stupid hell raw. That's like one of the best times in the world. I had no idea what I was doing. They just told me to go over here and do this. So we're all doing Sanctum Ophidia, the very last trial, including myself, and I had never even cleared AA. Do you know what I mean? So I'm at that barrier too, where everyone's like, "Oh, this is AA. This is crap. I know it all." I'm like, "Can we run it for me, guys? I don't even have a guild that will do it."
Absolutely. So
thankfully, and I think Racing brings up another good point, belongs to a guild that has, a really good experience in doing that. And it's hard. There's a lot of good guilds out here, but it makes or breaks the game's experience. It really does. Mm-hmm. It really makes, and I found what I wanted to belong with, which is kind of people that are on the progression base. And there's other guilds like Akatosh, ESOTR Akatosh. They're really good, like Java Who, helping people get better. I don't have the patience for that necessarily to do it over and over. So that's kind of why I put out guides, so that way people can see it. But I guess the whole long rant is I don't want to be an arrogant dick and say, oh, you can do what I can do, because there's people that are better than me, believe me. But I'm going to learn from them and I'm going to teach everyone else what they're doing and why and how it's effective. So that's my point on that.
Okay. All right, well, we'll wrap this section up here real quick. Thais, you had a closing thought on this? Do you, or do you want me to just...
Oh, no, I could rant about this for a long time.
One of our Khajiit found a mouse.
Yeah, the catnip toy. Yep, that's what I was laughing about, actually. So I'm just going to stop here. I have no final thought.
Okay.
Okay.
Come on, Khajiit, we're doing a show over here. Stop it. Never mind. He's not listening. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next section of our discussion topic.
Do you want me to go take the toy away?
Yes.
Okay.
Go take the toy away. And Delty, I know we wanted to talk about the second part of our discussion topic, which was gear and level drops.
Perfect. Oh, so this kind of brings up the next thing, which is that you scale down to the group leader instead of scaling up. I wish gear scaled. I don't know how to say this, but there should be a scaling thing based on your level. Everyone is scaled to a certain level. So if you were a VR1, you would scale to a VR14 version, hypothetically, of yourself. That would be hit points, that would be magic, and keep in mind this would be very hard to get right. So that way that you could group with your VR1 buddy as a VR14 and still get the same drops. Still get the same quality items that you wanted. There would be no disincentive because that VR1 would get drops for VR1 and they wouldn't be very, very underpowered because they would have all those things like a VR14 would. They'd have the same health, the same damage. It would just scale up essentially. Star Wars tried doing this, kind of screwed it up, especially in the PvP realm, and it was exploited to death. But I think their original principle was on to something. Whereas here, you're scaled down, so you can do one of two things. You can cheese it, get a VR1 to go in, scale the dungeon, then you and your VR14 buddies run in and get all the achievements. Or you scale it up to the loot that you want to get at VR14, which mostly it scales to 12. And then guess what happens that way? Why would I bring a VR1 in there? They're not going to even get gear that they can use for their 12 VR levels, right? So they need to have something where the gear scales too. And some incentive to bring other players in that can experience this, not just endgame people.
Sure. And I want to throw this in here. I almost feel like this entire dungeon scaling, which it was a good idea in general, and I'm not saying anything bad against Zoss, but I almost feel like this was a Band-Aid lazy attempt. And I will say it's because similar to how we talked about when people were complaining about VR14, like, why are they raising the VR rank? Well, maybe they had planned on it before this happened. Like, I almost feel like this Dungeon Finder was designed before all of this came in, and now they're like, with it being broken with the dungeon scaling, which they wanted to have for the older content and the pledges, which they had planned already. But they know in the back of their minds, VR ranks are going away. Once they're away, no one's going to remember this. Everyone will be the same level. The gear will be the same level. I just feel like this almost is like they're sitting back and weathering the storm, if you will, because they're like, guys, we know it sucks now, but VR ranks are going away in X months or X weeks or however far away that the next phase where they remove veteran ranks are. Am I off base here? Or
I mean, they'd have to totally redo it, and with their openness and honesty, I don't see why they wouldn't have told us that.
Okay.
I mean, like, because the dungeon system, even the interface is sloppy. It's just not intuitive to pull that up and just click one little button. It's sloppy. It's not easy to find the thing. There's things you can queue up for world. Like, who queues up for open world Kragorn? Right?
Sure.
Have you seen that in the interface? It's like, what's the purpose of that? Clean it up. Make it show, so, I'm veteran rank X, I'm looking for this, and make it more intuitive. Less choices sometimes are better, actually, because it's more simple. It's easy to get into.
Yeah. From a marketing point of view, as you say, when something's too busy, people tend to get confused with it and move
turn it
off.
And make it just intuitive, easy to jump into, and not so complex where I have to scroll through 15 things to click whatever, and
Sure.
give incentives for using the group finder. Maybe it's an extra drop. Maybe it's a little bit extra gold.
Other games have done that with duty finders, where your first duty you run by yourself or with a group, or if it's completely random. WoW did bonus experience. They did something called Luck of the Draw, where if you were in a completely random group or however many people you didn't know, you got a damage, healing, and health bonus to make it easier in case the people sucked. You know what I mean? That was what they did. Or, for instance, Rift in Final Fantasy, if I remember correctly, when you did the Dungeon Finders, if it was a random group, you got bonus loot. Like, you got a chest at the end of the dungeon that had extra gold in it, sometimes a rare item. You know, they incentivize using it to get people out there.
That's a good idea.
You know, to make it so, you know, like originally, if you were doing with the guild, you couldn't queue via a dungeon fight. You didn't get the bonuses because you knew everyone. But then again, you had the benefit of being able to go, I know everyone. I know I'll get this down in a certain amount of time. But when you went into a dungeon finder to get that bonus reward, they're like, here, we'll give you this if you finish it with these random people that you don't know. They may be Terabads or, you know, they may be good.
And, you know, look at my experience. Like yesterday, I ran Crypto Hearts 5 times. I healed it, and we got it down to running it in 20 minutes. We almost got the no-death achievement. Guy died once at the very end. But we were with a ridiculous stout group where everyone knew their job. We didn't even talk, and we just mowed through everything. I get on the day, bring someone who, you know, maybe hasn't experienced it very much. It took an hour. We didn't get past the 3rd boss and died over and over. So what am I more likely to do? I'm not queuing again. I'm not running a pug again, right? There has to be an incentive to pug and teach people. And eventually people will figure out the fights and learn, but there's no gap to get there. That's the problem. There's no incentive for people to try. There's no closing of the gap to help people learn the fights. And that's what I felt the way was Trials was like. That everyone was doing it, but you know, it was hard to get in a group at the time of day that I was playing, and that's why I never really did it. And I didn't like the content either, but eventually I found a guild willing to take me in there and stuff, but there needs to be a gap closer where it's intuitive and easy to get in, and people don't feel like they're getting crapped on for not being powerful.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else we want to talk about in the discussion before we move on?
Yes.
Okay.
I got to rant and rave about this damn game. I mean, you know, I complain about a lot of things, but my God, is this game an absolute riot? The gear in this game is just phenomenal. The gear meets the challenge head on. Veteran Dragonstar Arena drops master weapons. It's a reason and an incentive to spend 30 hours trying to beat this stupid thing. You know, the crafting is actually pretty good because the crafting sets actually do pretty good comparatively to the drop sets. So almost everyone wears some crafted sets. So there's a reason for crafting gear. And then the 2-piece bonuses, if you guys haven't seen them, check them out on my website. I got every single one, a video of them, every single one now. They are absolutely phenomenal. They went to extraordinary lengths to make it worth doing dungeons over and over. And, you know, they drop at different random traits and stuff like that. So you're going to have to go back and do a lot of these dungeons over and over and over. The whole system, it has a lot of tweaking to do. It really does. But I couldn't be happier with the content right now in the game. I really couldn't. I think it's just awesome. You know, Dragon Age Inquisition's out right now. A lot of people are playing that because it's kind of fits the same sort of fantasy land here that we do. But this is Elder Scrolls with friends. I mean, you're talking about what I've always wanted. I can't stop ranting or raving about how great I think this game is right now.
Thais, had a thought?
Oh, yes, I do. I only wear crafted gear.
As of right now, I only wear crafted gear as well because it's hard for me to find the sets that I need that are my level, albeit at higher levels. Like I was talking with Deltia a little bit. I already planned out my set for VR14, like what my ultimate set would be.
Well, you're just... Wow, really?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Best in the slot, baby.
Bad.
That's we were talking this morning. Me and you were talking about it. We were going over gear sets. I said, for the type of play that I want to do, this is my gear set. And he looked at us like, oh, okay. Oh, well, for me, I would switch these out because this is what I want to use. Because we were talking about our Templars.
It's part of the fun.
Yeah. I will say this and I'll echo this because Deltia already heard it, but I said it on the podcast. What was one of the things that was so cool about legendary weapons in Warcraft?
That you had to fight to get them.
Yeah, they were difficult. Okay. Is that the only thing to you?
That they were unique.
Mm-hmm. And they often did unique things that, like, other weapons were essentially stat sticks, or items were stat sticks. In other terms, they only carried stats. Legendary items in those games did unique things, you know, that made them cooler. Like, oh yeah, it's got stats on it, but it also does this. It made it really cool. they started to like that's what I like about the dungeon sets in the game and those master weapons. They have stats like the other stuff, but the set bonuses and things like that do different things. What was fun about the new crafted or not new the new tier gear anytime you got into a new raid expansion in WoW? What does it do? What does my 2 and 4 set do? They started adding gear like that. That's fun to get. That does fun things. It's not just a helm with 7 stamina on it and fits into my crafted set. It's, does this. And then sometimes when I'm doing something else, we'll do this other cool thing, that make me stick out a little bit more that I can't do with my character. Other stuff, it all seems to benefit your character passively. This has more of an active benefit, if you know what I mean. Even the set bonuses currently only affect your stats passively, like Hunding's Rage, Stamina, Weapon Crit, and even the 5 set bonus does, just adds weapon damage. Some of the other ones have, little knockback effects, but these other ones do fun things, like the Meteor set. Whenever you do dots, it summons meteors from the sky. A chance, and that's extra damage. It's just fun things to do that make you want to get the items.
It's transcendent gear. It's, I mean, to have a visual proc that is that impressive makes me want to run dungeons till I vomit, till my eyes bleed and my fingers break. It's that freaking amazing to see these meteors drop. It's that fun. It is really. They have done such a good job with these, and they're not too overpowered, and they're not too underpowered. They nailed it. They nailed these.
I like it. All right. Do we have anything else we want to cover for this? Other than our ranting on awesome gear.
Well, it's awesome that there's negatives and goods and positives. Last thing, there needs to be some way that other people can experience this that don't have a really good tight-knit guild. You have to cater somewhat to the casual. You can't just cater the 1% like I've always said. There has to be something for the person that just wants to pick up, play it, do one dungeon for an hour, put it down. And right now, it's not there for those people. So, I don't know, I don't want it nerfed into the ground, but then again, do something.
That's where that dungeon finder bonus would be kind of neat. Yeah. That if you did a random dungeon finder, it boosted everyone's stats by 5-10% just to make it easier because you're with random people. It would allow people to get in a dungeon finder, run it, and possibly down it with the bonus stats.
It's a great idea. It really is. But they'll get it tuned out. I trust these developers. I really do. They're awesome. They really give a crap about the community. And they're going to get it right. Stick with it. Because I tell you what, it is phenomenal when you're in City of Ash and that helm drops and you put it on and everyone sees you with this big fire looking I mean, we're screaming in TeamSpeak when we get this drop. I mean, it's that much fun. It's so fun. They made it worth doing it. And I got it's a heavy drop. Well, crap, I don't want that. Well, now I gotta go run City of Ash 20 more times. It's just so much fun. And the achievement system's starting to take hold now, especially with the Undaunted passives. They're getting really close to having a really nice synergy between gear and everything else.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely I like the reward of going for stuff. And I do like the idea of, it's something that I would really like, is one thing I always thought they did better in other games was when you were working on legendary items that I like it when it starts from a drop. You get a drop, and then you have to do an epic quest line to finish it off, like the Daedric quest in Skyrim. I would love for them to do that later on. But it has to be tight. It can't just be a quest you pick up, or maybe you have to get a drop from a specific dungeon or trial or something like that to complete it, even when you pick it up. I love the idea of legendary quests that take longer, that it's a long-term goal. You get the quest and go, okay, this is going to lead to an awesome reward. Let's keep going for it.
Yeah.
Thais, you look like you had something to say.
The only thing I was going to say was there's already legendary quality items, so what would they call it? Magnanimous or something?
Well, that's semantics. We don't really care.
Artifact. Unfortunately, semantics is something I care about.
It doesn't matter. It could just be some, to us, it was, they called them legendary in Warcraft, but that's because that's what they were, but they technically have items like that are rare, hard to get, such as the veteran Dragonstar Arena stuff, the master weapons. There you go. Master anything. Just call it
There you
master.
go.
It doesn't matter.
That works.
Just something that I would like it to be a quest line, but still require drops, still require you to do significant work, maybe even have to get crafters involved in order to enhance it and make it an awesome thing. But people, as much as some people are like, oh, I hate gear treadmills.
Love them.
They're dumb. And I will say that because, some people, if you don't like gear treadmills, then what keeps you playing? I mean, gear treadmills really do going after the next carrot.
Well, it's life in a video game. I mean, everyone hates money, right?
How many times have you upgraded your PC? It's a carrot on a stick.
Right.
After a few years, I need to do something new.
Well, why do you work? To get money. Why do you need money? To get what you want. I mean, right? So why do we do dailies? We do dailies to get the items we want. It's a fun way to spend time and feel like you're accomplishing something. And there's always a reason to keep coming back. That's the whole point of the whole gear treadmill. And this game does it better than anyone else because it's not the stupid currency system that I hate where you get X tokens and then you just have to buy the crap. I like the drops. I like being excited about it going, crap, I didn't get it. I have to go run it again. I like that.
I agree. Token systems always bothered me. I don't mind them as fillers, but they should never be top end.
No, I hate it.
I like that whole, you're waiting for a drop, the boss dies, and you go, okay, gonna loot him.
Click.
Hopefully
oh my god, and you're freaking out, dude. Nothing beats that.
I love it. I love it. I know, that same feeling. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next section, which is our Tales of Tamriel, what we did in the Elder Scrolls Online this week. And Deltia, will you do the honors and go first?
Sure. So basically going over the Harvester build, and I spent a lot of time theory crafting the sucker. So
Excited.
Trying to make a Templar DPS that really can hang, and I think I really got one that can, and it's quite fun. I really like it with the bow, two-hander. I don't use a two-hander as my main source of damage like Ag wants to. I really use it more as an execute ability. It really synergizes well with the Templar because they don't have an inherent execute. So it's just it's a match made in heaven essentially. So I spent a lot of time mid-maxing and upgrading my gear. I respec 10 times. 10 times at least, trying to find out the best morphs, the best combo, really just sitting out there killing mammoths until I'm blue in the face. I would be doing dueling Thais, if you can hear me, but I can't. So that's really what I did a lot of, is just practice the Templar, and then went into dungeons and did that sort of thing. I had to heal a lot of them just because no one heals in this game, so I don't mind that. But the Templar, I was playing it, I finally got to a point where I can do 900 plus damage sustained single target, which is just what my Nightblade does. And I really think that's a good spot for the Templar to be. I love stamina in this game, stamina builds that work. And the Templar with Radiant Aura, not Repentance, has the ability to maintain stamina like no one else. And that's why I wanted to build and prove people wrong that improve myself wrong, that Templars can be a top-notch DPS. And so I'm going to get that out tomorrow, probably in the afternoon, so people can start seeing it and doing it. I just had a blast with a Templar. It's a lot of fun. It has really a couple unique abilities. The downside is Nova is an ultra-powerful ultimate. It just takes a lot more ultimate to get it done. Whereas if it was something else, it would be so much easier if they just allowed a little bit more cost reduction on Nova at maybe 250 or something. Then I think the Templar would be right up there with DPS.
Right.
So
I wouldn't mind them even nerfing Nova a little bit to bring the cost down so you could use it more often.
Well, I mean, nerf Veil of Blades if you're going to nerf anything. A 200 ultimate costs that 30% damage reduction. I mean, really? For the entire party? I mean, that's more powerful than Dragon Knight Standard, tenfold, because everyone can get the damage reduction. And you want Templars in your group for that Nova, but it's just so costly that the only way to get it proccing all that often is via healing. Because of the, you can heal 4 people at all times. So, with that being said, I tried to find a Templar build that I could do that I enjoyed, had fun with, but yet felt powerful. So I spent a lot of time theory crafting. And a lot of my theory crafting is asking people who are better than me, what are they doing and why? The why question is always the most important. Why do you use this? you know. And I've always gone with a repentance type build, and that's my harvester's kind of based on it. But I'm going with Radiant Aura now. 80% stamina regeneration with the weapon cooldown potion on my jewelry. You're talking about this thing is chugging potions, but I never run out of stamina. And I love stamina builds because I don't have to dedicate 20% of my bar to crit like I do with my magic stuff. And I don't have to use stupid spell stim every 10 seconds to get magicka back like I do with my magicka based abilities. It's just more fun. And I mean, how cool is it to run around and wield a big two-hander sword and cleave people's faces off, and then a bow and snipe from a distance? I love it.
I've been saying that since launch.
So I'm just getting fed up playing with the magic stuff. I mean, yes, it's super powerful, but at some point it's just not fun to do spell sim every 10 seconds, and just getting bored with it. So I've been rocking the Templar for a while. I really feel that I can succeed on my Templar tanking, DPSing, or healing, which I can't say for everything else. So, you know, we got enough DKs in the guild right now, so I wanted to experiment with the Templar. So, if your Templar DPS is a little lackluster and you're looking for stamina, I got the solution for you. And it's going to be the Radiant Harvester.
Oh, I'm excited. I can't wait to see it.
Doesn't that sound cool, though?
It does. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
That's what I've been doing a lot of.
Nice. I'm excited. I really am excited to see this, because when you sent me the tweet going, you know, I think Templar might be my main now. Here's my damage. I'm like, oh, I was like squealing. I'm like, I knew it. It's great.
It's a cool class. It really is. It's not the most powerful, but you know, sometimes the underdog gets its day.
Hey, the best part about being not the most powerful class in the game is the only way to go is up. I'm not really fearing the nerf bat.
Oh, Nightblades are going to get the nerf bat on Veil Blades. I mean, it's too powerful. I mean, it's just.
Well, I mean, look what happened with vampires. They were so they got nerfed.
Well, werewolves are going to get nerfed too. It's a little. There's too much incentive for it. But.
Yeah, every time someone tells me, I say, yeah, grab werewolf. There's no thing, but please read patch notes, because I feeling this will just get changed in a random patch. Like, oh, now you get, you know, if you're a werewolf. Right now it's good, but don't expect it to last forever, and don't be angry when it changes, because I can almost tell you right now it's going to change.
But yeah, I mean, I really like the Templar. The animations are great. I really like every class in this game. What I find is interesting is that there's a good balance between the class abilities and then the outside abilities that everyone has access to. I hated it in Star Wars where I'd get in an arena where everyone was listed as DPS, but yet someone could heal. I thought that was BS. How can someone heal in an arena when they're listed as a DPS? It's just cheating. In this game, everyone can heal. Dragon Knights can heal. Everyone can heal. I love that fact that I'm not stuck with one stupid roll for the rest of eternity just because I rolled this class. And, you know, I play them all. But I love that. Right. But there's enough uniqueness with each class to go, oh, that's a Negate Sork, or oh, that's a Blazing Shield Templar. Oh, you know, I really like that. It's just, I can't stop playing the game. I love it.
Yeah, it's not like in some games where you play a class and you go, this class is a tank. This game is you pick a role and then you augment it with your class abilities. Like
exactly.
Stuff. It's like, oh, I'm going to be a great sword wielder, but I'm going to augment it with my Templar abilities. Or I'm a great sword wielder. I'm going to augment it with my Nightblade abilities. Like, that's just, it adds a little flair and a little bit of something special to the classes.
Yep.
Don't look at me that way, Thais. She's looking at me, give me dirty looks.
About what? Being the underpowered class that you always play?
I think she doesn't like the idea of being if she's like, if I'm a sorcerer, I should have a staff and wear a dress.
Yep, that's it.
I don't know. Sorks, dual wield Sorks. Oh, wow.
That's what I do. I'm like, I play Sork. I'm like, I feel like wearing heavy armor and having a sword and shield. I don't know why. I just do.
No. Oh, that's so gross. Like, it just makes me...
I'm a lightning tank. Ugh. That's what I am.
Well, our Entropy Rising, the Tropos, he plays a lightning Sork tank.
That's just...
And he does a hell of a good job at it, too.
It hurts me on the inside.
Well, it's better than the outside.
I always looked at the classes as loose archetypes. If you weren't sure what you wanted to play... And then this is how all the Elder Scrolls... No, this is how all the Elder Scrolls games were. Even when they gave classes in the earlier ones, they're like, here, if you're not sure what you want to do... Here's several archetypes, which all we're going to do is kind of give you some skills that, you know, build this class. But you can go any way you want with it. that's kind of how this game was, where it's like, I'm not really sure what I want to do. Well, here are 4 classes that this one kind of geared towards tanking, or, tanking. This one's kind of geared towards the roguey. This one's sort of geared towards magic casting. And this one's kind of geared towards healing. But feel free to use them however you want. And they have ways of doing it however you want, which is what I love.
Yep. And then if you don't have that role, or it's not really that beneficial for you, you can augment it with outside abilities. Whether it's PvP abilities, guild skill lines, or whatever, there's a way... The game is starting to get to the point where you can play the way you want and be somewhat successful. And that's
just wait till the Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood comes out. Then you can augment your classes even further with those abilities.
I just don't want them to change the skills too much and get too carried away with it. They screw it up.
But you see, an assassin sorcerer would like, that works. Like, it works because I'm still wearing the dress, I'm still wearing the staff. I just murder people for hire. But a Nightblade should not be a healer. That is just sickening to me. Just terrible.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, Deltia, before we move on and we talk about our game?
Well, I did get a few generous donations. I don't know if the guildies want me to say who they are, but I was leveling some crafting. I needed some help, and they sent me tons of mats because, as a mid-maxer, I need to level up my alchemy passive to get massive damage via the potions, and then some tempering alloys, all sorts of stuff. So for those who sent me stuff, I really appreciate that. I mean, you guys have no idea how much that helps trying to get these builds really optimized for you when you play them. So thanks a lot.
Excellent. Yeah, we have a great community as a whole. I'll even say this before we get talking. There's a few people in our community, guilds and stuff like that. Lord Obi, for one, fantastic guy. I love him to death. I make a bunch of armor for him, so what does he do? He sends me crafting mats. He's like, I don't do crafting. I don't care. Here, you take them, and then just make me stuff. And honestly, I love him, but he gives me more than what I spend on making him new armor. So he needs to level up his EP character some more so I can make him more armor, because I feel bad at this point.
EP Obi, don't be switching sides on me, Obi.
They're moving away from the Mountain Dew booger eaters. That's what's happening.
Oh,
that's right. Yeah, I said it. And of course, Ridge. He's been fantastic in the guild. He's been helping me with my Dwemer. Anytime I miss something, he's like, "What are you and Thais missing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of missing this motif yet." He trade motifs, sends motifs to us. Here, I know you don't need it. He's fantastic. Love it. So, all right.
Ray62 and Chad said that they have a Nightblade healer, and it made me die a little on the inside just to picture that.
I'm now, from now on, every time I make a class, for my alts, because I've been leveling my mule alts just for when I feel like doing something. I am now intentionally going to pick something. Like, I have a Dragon Knight, it's going to be healer. I have a sorcerer, I think I'm going to make it a tank. I'm just going to pick the most off-the-wall stuff just so that when you see me playing it, you're like, what are you doing? I'm a stealthy Templar.
I hope you become a healer because I feel really, really bad for anybody in your party because you're never going to clear anything.
I feel, well, you really want to call Kettle, black here?
Whoa.
Little Miss,
my blind healing works pretty well.
How many times did we wipe on those spiders?
About 5. But then
Are you sure?
It was about 5.
We all know your math's not that great. You really want to...
It could have been 20. I don't know. I don't count very well.
Probably closer to
20. It's fine.
I mean, we got it recorded on a live stream. We can go back and count.
We might have to go back and count.
All right, we're going to do that.
Just to see how many it is.
All right, well.
But even my blind healing is definitely better than your paying attention healing. Your toes are so cold. Can you not touch me with them, please?
I'm going to touch you with my toes. Keep talking about my healing.
Oh my gosh, your healing is horrible. Stop touching me with your gross toes.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, this is the type of love that I get.
No, he can touch me with any other phalange that he wants on his toes.
Oh, wow.
No
family show.
Phalange now, okay.
It means fingers.
All right.
Well.
All right. Talk about character changes. What have you been doing?
I haven't changed a thing. I still have Sparky Paw.
Haven't you leveled?
I leveled.
All right, that's a character change.
Oh, I leveled once.
To what?
I'm not sure.
Probably VR5.
Yeah, that one.
All right.
Okay, cool.
Excellent.
Awesome. Woohoo! Other than that, I haven't
Why
changed
don't you
anything.
come do a spell scar grind with me, and then you'll get leveled.
Do a what?
Spell scar grind.
I don't know what that is.
Well, I can show you.
What is it?
It's where we go and kill mobs for experience. Lots of it.
Oh. Sure.
All right.
Okay.
We'll do that after.
Or, as I stated before, when you want to farm for your dweller motifs,
No. I'm not doing it on your character because then you get all the money.
Then you can have the money.
No.
You can have the money. You can have the motifs. You can have it all. Just play on my tune so I get some experience while you're farming. Because I can't do it. I can't do it.
Okay.
It's not Maple Story. I can't grind for hours.
Yeah, I don't even want to hear it. One button just... No. All right. Character changes, of course, for myself. Nothing really. Hit VR6, which is awesome.
You hit VR6?
Yeah.
When?
In the dungeon that we ran. Why are you looking at me like that? I'm VR6. It's scary when we have dead air.
I think I need to beat you with something at the end
You
of the
said
show.
I could play because you weren't feeling good.
No, that is true. I did say you could play, but I did not say you could just gain.
No. Well, then what am I doing? Then I just log in and just stand there?
No.
Is that all I'm allowed to do now?
You can do it on my tune.
Oh!
So you're still online and farming, but you're getting me experience while I'm laying in bed sick with your child.
No. Nah. This isn't what we signed up for.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, we did do some more exploring within Rivenspire this week, and a lot of it was we did like 3 or 4 world bosses as well as a couple delves. Like we did the Orcfinger's ruins, which I can't really remember that one too much. I don't remember what that one was. Do you remember that one? I don't think that wasn't the one you wanted to talk about later.
No, the one that I enjoyed was Hilldunes.
Yeah. But we did do East Rock Landing and Siren's Cove, which are both world bosses. And then, of course, we did Hilldune's Secret Refuge.
Siren's Cove I particularly enjoyed because this Siren boss looked really, really cool.
She looked like one of the, Neurads or whatever they are. I think you see them at, what dungeon was it? It's the one in Shadowfen. They're like the water spirits. That's what she was.
But she just looked really cool, though. I stood there for quite a while Ag was attacking, just staring at her.
That seems
hoping
to be
that
commonplace.
Ag would die, but he didn't.
It's because I play Templar.
Oh, so that means you died like 6 times and I just didn't notice.
No.
No. But that was fun. And then Hilldune's Secret Refuge was particularly fun for me because of the story that happened in it. And you pick up all these little notes throughout going through this little delve or whatever it was. And it's talking about how this married woman just goes out at night and she sees this strange person, and she's just so infatuated with this creature. And he kind of like sparkles in the moonlight, and he's just so intriguing, and she falls in love with him. And she's talking about how her husband is a boring, predictable man. Like someone else's husband I know. And she falls in love with him, and throughout the cave you just find more notes but how their relationship is blossoming. And with the very last one, you find out that, you know, he professes his undying love for her, and that he turns out to be a vampire. And she goes, you know, I think I always knew. And he asks her, you know, I want to spend eternity with you. Would you want to join me in this curse / wonderful eternal existence? And in the note she goes, without even thinking, without hesitating, without even the thought of my husband on my mind, I said yes. And it was so sweet.
And then we killed the cheating whore.
Then we killed them. Yeah, without any remorse. And we strip their dead bodies of all their gear.
Absolutely.
Because that's how you get gear, apparently. And you search their weirdly deep, butt cracks for items that they have stored there.
I let you handle that part.
Yeah. Apparently I enjoy doing that. Yep.
Nice. All right. The last bit of things we actually did is the West Wind Lighthouse. We're moving towards North Point, which we're getting close to the end of Rivenspire, but we haven't actually entered North Point yet. We were doing a bunch of quests to try to get into it. And we were exploring to the west of it, and we found the Barefoot Breton. He cracked me up. He is drunk off his bum, going how he was attacked by a hagraven who wanted his manly charms, as he said. But she must have stole the hammer, and then we're like, well, what happened to your shoes? She's like, oh, my shoes are missing? She must have taken those as well.
If you listen to this guy talking, there is nothing attractive about him. Even his voice is an ear sore.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that all you were going to say?
Yeah, that's it. I just
Okay.
wanted to mention that he even sounded atrocious.
It's funny, because then when we go to move up towards the end of the quest, we run into his wife. She's like, is my drunk husband, out there again? And you're like, yeah, you don't look like a harpy. She's like, of course I don't look like a harpy.
Hagraven.
Or hagraven, whatever. Something with feathers and it's ugly. And it was so funny. She's like, can you just go help him and find his shoes and the mace, because it's like a family heirloom. So we go back and we get all that. It's funny because he comes back, he's all drunk still. And she's like, hey, honey, I see you found the mace. Oh, yes, a terrible hagraven tried to steal it from me.
One of the best parts of talking to him throughout the quest is you keep asking him about his shoes. And after you ask him about 4 or 5 times, he goes, what is your obsession with my footwear? Why do you keep asking?
Well, it's funny is when you hand him the shoes, he's like, these aren't my shoes. My shoes were higher and had buckles. Many more buckles. So he gives them to you as a reward. It was hilarious. I love the drunk character animations he had, because he really did look drunk. It was great. So that kind of ended our main questing. We're kind of poised to enter North Point at the moment. And from chat room, I noticed that Not a Demo was talking about he's on a break from ESO, haven't played in 2 months. They did do a lot with the character animations for facial animations in 1.5. The face effects that they implemented are pretty awesome. Like, it's really good now. So you should definitely check it out. And Obi, want to know any word on when Update 6 is going to hit the PTS? Well, they're going to be talking about Update 6 next week with the road ahead, so I imagine it will hit the PTS probably late next week, early the following. So it'd be second week of December, I would guess. The final thing we did is we had a little stream event on Saturday where some people came out to watch us do Veteran Spindle Clutch with Kypster and Arkhaniir, and Thais, of course. And it went pretty well up until that second boss, in which I think they just decided not to heal anymore.
No, I was healing. I was just not watching where I was healing. There were way too many spiders for me to pay attention to who was dying.
What was really funny is that was the only boss we wiped on. Everything else we just steamrolled. That one we wiped like 20 times.
Yep.
Okay.
Wasn't my fault.
Really?
It was the spider's fault.
Okay.
Yep. I used Sparky Paul, though. He worked really well.
Oh, Sparky Paul?
Yep.
I see. You don't change any of your... maybe a negate would have been nice and helpful there.
That's probably the one time it would have worked well.
It probably would have been great to drop one time. 30 spiders.
See, someone could have told me that, and I would have changed out that skill. Where was Kypster's help then?
Oh, Kip, she's calling you out, man. Calling you out. Ouch. Well, at least I know the Ren and Kip will always come with me, but maybe you won't be invited to future dungeons. I don't know.
I have to be invited because we're a team here. You're the horrible Templar, and I'm the blind
horrible healer apparently.
The blind healer.
I see. All right. So the last thing we did before we ended the stream is we went into City of Ash, because I didn't actually know that there was a minimum level cap on dungeons. I thought they all scale. Well, apparently they don't. Veteran City of Ash is a VR14 dungeon and only a VR14 dungeon. So we went in there with a VR4 tank, a VR5 healer, a VR6 Templar, that's me, and a VR4 14 Nightblade, which was Kypster. We actually managed to down the first boss in City of Ash.
We wiped less on that boss than we did on the spiders.
Yeah, we did. We only wiped like 3 or 4 times till we got it.
Yep. Well, we couldn't make it past the second boss though. There was just way too many ads, and there was a lot of fire. So.
All right. So, but that was our week in game. I thought it was pretty cool. I want to get back into the game some more. Like right now, I'm sitting here going, "Why am I not playing?" So let's go ahead and move on to our next section, which is the dramatic reading. This week, we're starting a new series of books from the Elder Scrolls Online. This series of books that we picked is simply called Literature. That's what I picked. This series of books contains 10 volumes, including 16 Accords of Madness, Volume 6.
Oh,
yeah,
7.
VI is 6.
Oh, 6. Yeah, you're right. You're right. 6.
I know my Roman numerals. Crown and Raven, the 3 short fables. Myths of Sheogorath, Volume 1, and Myths of Sheogorath, Volume 2. The Homilies of Blessed Amalexia. The Legendary Scourge. The Lusty Argonian Maid, Volume 1. The Lusty Argonian Maid, Volume 2. We may have to edit those for this show. I don't even know. We'll have to mark it as a mature show for those 2. The Red Book of Riddles, and finally, Wabbajack. So it should be some good stuff. This week, we start off this series of books with 16 Accords of Madness, Volume 6. Thais, take it away.
Hircine's Tale. Ever proud and boastful, Oblivion's mad prince stood 1/5 day of mid-year among the frigid peaks of Skyrim, and beckoned forth Hircine for parley. The huntsman god materialized, for this was his day, and the boldness of Sheogorath intrigued him. Rye without equal, Sheogorath holds in his realm giggling loons, flamboyant autiers, and craven mutilators. The man-prince will ply profitless bargains and promote senseless bloodshed for nothing more than the joy of another's confusion, tragedy, or rage. So it was that Sheogorath had set a stage on which to play himself as rival to Hircine. Without haste, the coy prince proffered his contest. Each prince was to groom a beast to meet at this place again, 3 years to the hour, and do fatal battle. Expressionless behind his fearsome countenance, Hircine agreed, and with naught but a dusting of snow in the drift, the princes were gone to their realms. Confident, but knowing Sheogorath for a trickster, Hircine secretly bred an abomination in his hidden realm. An ancient Daedroth he summoned, and imbued it with the foul curse of lycanthropy. Of pitch heart and jagged fang, the unspeakable horror had no peer, even among the great hunters of Hircine's sphere. In the 3rd year, on the given day, Hircine returned, where Sheogorath leaned, cross-legged on a stone, whistling with idle patience. The prince of the hunt struck his spear to the ground, bringing forth his unnatural snarling behemoth. Doffing his cap, sly as ever, Sheogorath stood and stepped aside to reveal a tiny, colorful bird perched atop the stone. Demurely it chirped in the bristling gusts, scarcely audible. In a twisted, springing heap, the Daedroth was upon the stone, leaving only rubble where the boulder had been. Thinking itself victorious, the monster's bloody maw curled into a mock grin, when a subdued song drifted in the crisp air. The tiny bird lightly hopped along the snout of the furious Daedroth. Sheogorath looked on, quietly mirthful, as the diminutive creature picked at a bit of detritus cotton scales betwixt the fiery eyes of the larger beast. With howling fury, the were-thing blinded itself trying to pluck away the nuisance, and so it continued for hours, Hircine looking on in shame while his finest beast gradually destroyed itself in pursuit of the seemingly oblivious bird, all the while chirping a mournful tune to the lonesome range. Livid but beaten, Hircine burned the ragged corpse and withdrew to his realm, swearing in forgotten tongues. His curses still hang in those peaks, and no wayfarer tarries for fear of his wrathful aspect in those obscured heights. Turning on his heel, Sheogorath beckoned the minuscule songbird to perch atop his shoulder and strolled down the mountain, making for the warm breezes and vibrant sunsets of the Abyssinian coast, whistling in tune with the tiniest champion in Tamriel.
I love Sheogorath. He's
So do
hilarious.
I. Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome. He's got to be one of my favorite Daedric princes. I love talking to him during the Mages Guild quest line. I just love listening to him. My favorite NPC in Skyrim was Septimus. You don't remember Septimus?
Mm-mm.
He's kind of the crazy scholar up in the north when he's trying to. Septimus knows
In the cube, yeah.
I love talking to him just because he's crazy.
Well, Sheogorath was fun in Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
The Wabajak quest.
Oh yeah.
In the realm where it does not make any sense what's going on. Yeah.
Fish sticks.
Mm-hmm.
He's so great.
Cheesemonger's Hollow.
Mm-hmm. He's funny even in ESO.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Calling Shalador Shelly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Shelly. All right. We're going to move on to our next section, which is the Guild Corner. Deltia, do you have anything you'd like to plug here?
Just that, I'm kind of more so going with Entropy Rising since they're kind of leading and being more organized. And they are taking applications for people. If you're looking for kind of a hardcore experience that, are as focused on progression, check out their site, tamrielfoundry.com/Entropy Rising, I think is their guild section. So really that's kind of what the focus is right now. So if you're looking for something like that and want to join me, got a great group of people, really experienced and really good at helping you progress. So maybe think about that.
They are AD only, just so you know.
Well, yeah.
You got to make sure you mention that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I just figure everyone's cool. AD.
Everyone's AD. There's no one else plays this game.
Oh, stop!
Gross.
You're gross.
You're gross.
You're grosser.
All right,
You're the
ladies,
grossest.
Stop it. Stop it. I'll send you both to your individual corners.
I like my corner.
Yeah, bet you do.
I do.
All right. If anyone's interested in joining the Friends and Family Guild of Tales of Tamriel podcast, you can contact Aggelos in-game, AGGELOS, or at Tier Eater, TEAREATER in-game for an invite. Guild's a fun place to hang out with other fans of the show. You can meet and mingle with the host of Tales of Tamriel, and every once in a while we like to go out and do some events. You can always just, ask us what we're doing, or come out and stalk us. That's always fun.
Or make fun, troll Ag as a two-hander Templar.
Oh, that's okay. I'm fine with this. Can't even hurt my feelings. And finally, a good friend of the show, Kypster, has his own PvE progression guild called the Dragon Guard, currently accepting any VR ranked character with serious intention towards endgame PvE content. If you're interested, you can contact Kypster in-game, that's KYPSTER, to apply. This is an Ebonheart Pact only guild.
Boo.
So, yeah. Blood for the Pact or GTFO. That should be that's the slogan. There we go. All right, moving on to our next section. I only have one thing I want to say. It's a shout out. Shout out to Leto Stormblade on the EU Mega server. Strongblade, thank you. I glanced over that. EU Mega server and his guild, the Swedish Legion. Thanks for your comments on our two-handed weapon build from Stelden on YouTube, as well as for episode, 42? I think we talked about that a lot. And for outlining what it is that you use. So keep rocking that two-hander. He's my fellow Templar right there, rocking the two-hander. So there's at least one more of me out there on the Omega server.
Well, there's going to be a couple more. There's going to be a couple more.
There's a few more. Deltia's, he's I don't know, you might not like to say it, but
Radiant Harvester.
You can't really use Deltia as an example because he changes his main character
I don't care.
every hour.
For me, he's an ag clone.
Every
hour? Now, he's an ag clone.
Every hour, that's generous. Every like 10 minutes.
He's changed 4 times since you said it.
Oh.
So there you go. There's your shout out, buddy. Thanks for listening and for commenting, man. Love it. All right, we're going to move on to the final part of our show, which is our final thoughts. So, sad times, Thais. Tell us a little bit about your final thoughts for the show, where they can find you both in and out of game. Go.
Okay, my final thoughts for the show. Great show. I really cannot wait for the provisioning update because for a while now I have not even been collecting any mats. Because the only thing you get are berries and beans. That's it. You get nothing else.
Kava beans and Concord grapes.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's it, and it makes me sad.
I get mud crab meat too.
That to me is like I am so excited. I can be found in game at Tear Eater, TEAREATER, and I can be found out of game on Twitter at TwitQueenThais.
Okay. And Deltia, good sir, to let everyone know what your final thoughts are, where they can find you, etc.
Well, where you can find me, Deltia's Gaming on Twitter, YouTube, and deltiasgaming.com for the little site that I run and a couple other people write for. So, final thoughts, just really happy with the game. I mean, there's a lot of bugs still, a couple things to get ironed out, but the content's starting to get there. It feels still fresh. I love the environment. The community's fantastic. Everything's not perfect, but I'm just in this game for the long haul and don't see it slowing down anytime soon. Can't wait for next week, a week after, kind of seeing what the road ahead is. This company's open and honest with us, so let's just give them feedback whenever they release it on what we like, what we don't like, and move forward.
Excellent. Final thoughts for the show. Definitely agree with Deltia. I love this game. As I was saying to him earlier, we were talking about other games and things of that nature and just all sorts of random stuff. And, I was saying, there's a new single-player game out there, Dragon Age Inquisition, that has everyone for a little while. And I don't like Dragon Age, but I'm looking forward to Witcher, because I love The Witcher. But even so, it's just one thing I was saying, none of those games, even other MMOs, do not have what this game has for me. Like, I think about this game constantly. I just love, even if I'm not doing anything, I just wish I was in there walking around the desert, because I'm in the desert right now.
Picking flowers, yeah.
Picking flowers. I just love that. I don't even have to be running anything. I just like being in the game, listening to the ambient noise, the music, the NPCs chatting back and forth. I just love it. And I no other game can give this to me. Like, I have not found another game that gives me this level of immersion, period. Except for maybe the single-player Elder Scrolls games. But even so, I only played it for a little bit. This one is just a game that no matter what, like when Witcher 3 comes out, I'll be playing that. But once I'm done playing that, I'll be right in here after about 100 hours. I'll be in here continuing my... What am I up to now? I think it's...
Yeah, you'll be VR7 by then.
Yeah, I'll probably be VR7 by then, which I don't think Witcher 3 comes out to like May of next year. But
yeah, you'll be VR7 by then.
Yeah, I might be VR7 by then. So definitely, I love this game so much. It's such a great game. Cannot wait for Road Ahead, Update 6. And if you wish to find me in-game, it's at Aggelos, AGGEOS. Send me a friend request, chat with me. I'm friendly. I do talk to people. A lot, apparently, as my wife over here mouths silently. If you wish to find me out of game on Twitter, you can find me at Aggelos_WOF. That's my personal Twitter.
Is that where you pose like half naked with your shirt off? Is that
all the time?
Okay.
All the time. Doing the Redguard dance. I do yeah. Oh wait, that's on my Vine account. No, I don't have a Vine account. Are you kidding me? Anyway, that's where you can find me. Check it out. I want to thank everyone for listening to the podcast. I want to thank the chat room, man. The chat room today was very active and awesome. Love it. Thank you guys for coming out. If you wish to help support the podcast, you can feel free to donate via the PayPal link on our website or tell a friend about us. That's the best way. If you wish to contact us with questions, comments, criticisms, the website for our show is talesoftamriel.com, or you can email the show at podcast@talesoftamriel.com. You can follow the show on Twitter at Tales of Tamriel, Facebook at facebook.com/Tales of Tamriel podcast. Also, feel free to rate and subscribe to us via iTunes. And if you missed the live show or want to catch up on past broadcasts, or just check out some of our YouTube exclusive content, subscribe to us at youtube.com/Tales of Tamriel. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed this episode.